Hello, Dalton, and welcome to the Pieces and Action Verb podcast. I've been wanting to host you for over a year now, so I'm really, really glad that we're connecting today.
Yeah, hi Christine. I'm happy to be here. Excited to talk.
Great, great, thank you. So, as my guests may be familiar already, I've got this list of piece verbs here that I sent you, the ones that I think about when I think of you, and I'm going to just explain a little bit how we came to know each other. And that is that we work at a consulting firm together. It's a rather large consulting firm, and we were in the same office. And I was a relatively new staff person who had a an outside of the box offering that was I wanted to provide meditation after lunchtime breaks, um, meditative movement. And you were on the wellness committee and you championed that idea. And so I say that you were very warm with me. So you were being warm, that's a piece verb, and you were building community or helping me. We were building community together. And I would
Yeah.
say there was also some advocacy you had to do. So anyhow, do you want to tell me a little bit from your side of that experience?
Yeah, I when I started at the consulting firm, I've slowly been developing this passion around wellness.
Hmm.
Um, and that's why I was one of the co-chairs of the wellness committee of our firm. And when I heard that you had this practice of meditation, that's something that I'm very passionate around and know how much it has helped me in just my overall ability to to cope with life. Um, and
And how,
so I kind of wanted to jump into it. Yeah.
so how long have you been meditating? Sorry to interrupt you there. How long have you been
No,
meditating?
no worries. So I have been meditating for probably about 6 years now.
Hmm.
Um, Definitely not as consistent as I would like or as I would hope. I think that's a common statement for a lot of people who meditate. But yeah, I've been meditating and doing at least a couple times a week for probably 4 or 5 years now.
Okay, that's really, really cool. So there's a few piece verbs in there. One of them is to meditate. Meditating is a piece verb. And
Yeah,
inherently pulled into that is be still.
yeah, yeah. Being still, right? That's something that in our society, a lot of people resist, and so that's something that I think is important to practice being still. Um,
Being still and it also balances, and I think we do well in our society with moving. Like moving is also a piece verb to move.
yeah,
And there's the piece verb to balance, which comes from having enough stillness in our weekly flow, right? To
yeah,
balance out the movement. And it seemed to me that that was what you and I were trying to do. It was you and the other chair of the wellness committee. So it was three of us. We were trying to create a moment of stillness in the middle of the day, in the middle of the week, at this place where there's so many people moving, right?
yeah, yeah. And I think that's a beautiful thing, right? Trying to create and like kind of instill this moment of pause in a environment that is so fast paced.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
it it's amazing how quickly our brains will just kind of move into autopilot mode and um, without the conscious choice to pause, um, our brains can just keep going and almost never stop until we crash.
Right, right. And
Yeah,
as we're all in this together, so the consulting firm or any workplace that any of us might find ourselves in, it is a community. It's almost like what the village used to be, right? It's we're all in it together. We run a business together. Our collective survival is together, and how
yeah,
how well we can get clients, maintain clients, produce work, and all of that. And so you were noticing, and I'd like to go back to your journey in a moment, how you got to that recognition that that pause and that stillness is of central importance to holding all of that together.
absolutely. I think, you said that beautifully. We spend more time at work than anywhere else in our lives usually. And so finding ways to balance and like I said earlier, instill moments of calm, moments of pause uh, in this place that we spend such a significant portion of our life is really key.
Really key. And so there's some nouns that get supported by the verbs, right? There was stillness and
Right.
pause, those
Yeah.
nouns. And the verbs for us were persist, right? It took a little while. There's something about the culture of go, go, go that the request to, hey, can we meditate? And can we do it in a way that probably none of you on the committee that are deciding yes or no have ever heard of, right? Meditative
Yeah.
movement. I think they asked us to change the name of the meditation because it was just like it wasn't recognized.
Yeah.
And so we persisted.
Yeah.
And then we came up. So our colleague who has moved on to a different workplace, she came up with gravity meditation, which seemed like a great other way to describe what we were doing because it was about paying attention to how the body feels when we do a subtle shift of our center of gravity. That was what we
Yeah.
were doing.
Yeah. And I think,
Yeah.
it takes, I know myself and my co-chair, we champion it with you, but I think, as you said, it was slow going at first. But then we started getting a few more people and at times had a consistent, 5 to 10 people that would come with us. And I think it's a collective, right? Like when you're talking about a community, it takes people championing it. It takes people willing to, you know, be creative and come up with names, like you said, gravity meditation or something that uh brings a sense of awareness to what it is we're trying to do. Um, and there's a whole long list of people that have to approve and support these types of things too, right?
Right.
Yeah,
And I think that's that could be any company or any city council or any church or synagogue or whatever. There's we don't necessarily even realize what our culture is until we push on that a little bit and we say, well, let's try something a little bit outside of this. We don't even know we're in a box until we invite ourselves a little bit out of that box. So I think growth as a community involves pushing those boundaries a little bit and then seeing, well, what happens when we step outside of the norm a little bit, and that's part of growing
yeah,
together.
yeah. Boundaries are, um, and I'm sure we'll talk more about boundaries as we go in this conversation, but they're so important, both from a being able to set boundaries so that you can take care of yourself and have what you need. But as
Mm-hmm.
you said, also recognizing when boundaries need to be pushed, and maybe altered a little bit. And boundaries are set by so many different things, both conscious and unconscious. Um, and yeah, it's important to be aware of them.
Yeah, yeah. So I want to take you back in time a little bit because I think when I when I was putting together the invitation list of peace verbs for you, first of all, there's a ton of them on this list. We probably won't even get to all of them today, but the one that really sticks out as being active for where you are right now in your life is finding and following your own path.
Yeah,
So could you take us on that journey for first maybe describe what you're doing right now? Like
yeah.
what's your balance right now? And then how did you get yourself there? How did you find your way?
Yeah, man. I don't know if we'll have enough time for me to go through all the details, so I'll try to
Sure.
stay at a high level. But
I basically just
um,
said walk us through your entire life. So yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So right now I'm currently working part-time at the firm that we both have been talking about and currently work at, while I go to grad school to get a master's of science in counselor education, with a specialization in rehabilitation. So the focus is on demographics of disabilities, uh, addictions, certain mental illnesses, um, and the journey of how I got here, man. It's really been something that started from the day I was born.
Mm,
Um, I was born with a disability. Um, it's something that, you know, being born in the early 90s, uh, the the collective knowledge of the disabled community was very much in its infancy back in the
mm,
90s, right? Like the Americans with Disabilities Act was only enacted in 1990. So
wow.
it's only been 20, or I guess that's 35 years
Hmm.
since the the act for adults and individuals with disabilities was even put in place.
But just to
Uh,
put that in perspective for my own life, that was the year that I went to college.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so it's
and
like when I was in high school, that law didn't exist. And that's really interesting to think about for me. Yeah.
absolutely, and I think it's for a lot of people, it's still a very new concept, right? Like thinking about accessibility, thinking about how we be inclusive of individuals that do not have the same physical capabilities as we do, or mental capabilities that we do.
So it's even
Uh,
just it's an exploration of making visible what would otherwise be an invisible boundary.
yeah,
Very visible to the person that has the impediment, right? But
yeah,
invisible to those that don't. So it's about making that awareness.
100%. Absolutely. That's well said. Um, I was also born and raised in a family of addiction. Um, and I was raised in a blue collar family, as you can see from my shirt here. Born
New
and raised in
Mexico.
New Mexico, very proud of
Yeah.
my New Mexican heritage in a lot of different ways. Um, and so it was really an interesting dichotomy that I wasn't even really aware of growing up, right? Having a disability and having these you know, strong boundaries that were in place by my own physical limitations,
Hmm.
um, while living in a environment where there wasn't a lot of safety. There wasn't a lot of safe space to talk about how I was feeling or how my physical limitations either impacted me emotionally or otherwise. Um, and growing up in a blue collar family, right? There's a lot of hardworking individuals in my family, and a lot of individuals that work long hours with their
Yeah.
hands, and
Yeah.
it's all about working outside and building things. And I love all of those things. I very much enjoy working with my hands, but because of my disability, it looks different. I
Yeah.
have to constantly be thinking about um, how something that would be a kind of a, for the lack of a better way of putting it, a mundane task for somebody that doesn't have a
Hmm.
disability.
Hmm.
I have to be thinking about kind of unique ways to accomplish those goals. Like
Hmm.
even walking for me can sometimes be a challenge.
Hmm.
Um, and so it's that's kind of where it started, right? It's
Yeah.
really from the very beginning. Um, I have constantly been around these environments where um, I've had to be thinking about boundaries. Um,
So if I could ask you a little bit more about that. So you would be experiencing physical boundaries and thereby also engaging your own creative problem solving. And
mhm.
am I inferring correctly that because you were the one person that had the disability that you had in your family structure of people that were capable in ways that you had to figure out the workaround, was there a loneliness in that? Did you get much empathy or acknowledgement of that?
Um, yeah, so it was definitely lonely. And it still can be lonely at times. You know, I very lo much love my family,
Of
and
course. Yeah.
and they they love me. But as I mentioned, right, like back in the 90s, um, disability and disability rights and all those things were still very new.
Yeah.
And so, my family did the best they could with
Yeah.
uh, the limited information and resources that they had. My mother, she was a strong advocate. She went up to Santa Fe, which is the
Hmm.
capital of New Mexico,
Hmm.
uh, and spoke in front of the governor at the time.
Oh my gosh, that gives me chills. That's so much courage.
Yeah, so basically the elementary school that I went to had really heavy metal doors
Hmm.
everywhere across the campus.
Hmm.
And they were difficult for me to open.
Hmm.
And so she put a petition together and went
Hmm.
up and lobbied in front of the governor at the time, to have the doors changed and to have lighter doors put in. Um, and she, along with others, were successful in the advocacy, and they ended up changing all of the doors at my elementary school, not just for me, but for others who struggled as well. Um, so
Can I
that's
can
it.
I pa-
Yeah, yeah.
can I
Go ahead.
pause on that and pull out the piece verbs?
Yeah, of course.
You finish your sentence and then I'll pause on that.
No, I was just going to say that that's a perfect example of what I'm talking about in terms of advocating for accessibility, right? Like
Yeah.
for an able-bodied person, um, most don't even think twice about how heavy a door is.
Hmm. Hmm.
They just walk through it, and sometimes it might be a struggle, but they just go through it and then go about their day. Whereas for somebody who has a disability, um, that's something that can have a big impact
Well, you
on
could
their
be
daily
late.
life.
You could be late to class. You could sprain your arm trying to open the door. There's lots of things that could
One
happen.
100%, right? You have to think about it just compounds on itself. You have to
Yeah.
think about if you know the doors are going to be hard for you to open, you
Yeah.
then you then have to try to get there 15 minutes earlier, and then you
You,
have to wake up earlier, and it just keeps kind of steamrolling.
and you might shorten your lunch break, miss your bathroom break, just so
Yeah,
you can get to class on time. So I'm
yeah,
hearing lots of piece verbs here. One of them is to develop awareness. That's actually the how the verb came to me. Develop awareness. We're not bored with it.
yeah,
We develop it. And so your mom developed awareness by having you as her son. You developed awareness. Your school did, your governor did, your community did. And so it's a concentric, like it's lots of circles, right? We are all developing awareness together, and that's always a constantly in flux process. Your mom,
yeah,
your mom also used her voice to support you. So that's a compound piece verb right there. She voiced. She took herself to the Capitol and she spoke.
yeah,
And so that's just a beautiful story. Thank you.
yeah, of course. And I think I really love the piece verb of develop awareness.
Yeah.
I think I think that's something that um, is in constant development. I think I'm a prime example of what that could look like in terms of growing up. I was not very aware believe it or not, I was not very aware of how my disability impacted me. I had um, a lot of what is termed internalized ableism,
Hmm.
which is essentially, I mean, without getting too into the weeds around it, it's essentially, this internal belief of I'm faulty, I'm uh,
Self-judgment, right?
yeah, I'm broken, and I
Yeah.
have to just try harder
Right.
to make up for the areas that I lack, if you will.
So you look at the standard being the average. If we're thinking of
Yeah,
the bell curve, you're looking at the widest, tallest part of the bell curve, and you're saying, if I'm not that, then it's my fault, and I just have
ab
to make up the difference.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
I think it's that was the catalyst for the direction that I took throughout my adolescence and into my teenage years and early adulthood. Um, I really, you know, I developed, and this comes from my family, and I'm very proud of my extremely hard and in-depth work ethic.
Yes,
Um,
right.
I I got to where I was in a lot of ways simply by being the first one to get there and the last one to leave in a lot of ways.
And
Uh,
the verb to work is on the list of piece verbs that I have for you. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I kind of just um, brute forced a lot of life. I kind of just, uh, through all of the things we talked around, unique problem solving and all of those types of things, I kind of just woke up every day and used my brain to figure things out and worked really, really hard.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. Um,
And
and
that got you through you talked about adolescence and young adulthood. I'm hearing there's social aspects to that, there's financial aspects to that, there's school aspects to that. I'm assuming you
yeah,
brought this to all of those.
through all facets of life, relationships, work, school, um, I was trying to figure out how much detail I want to give on this. But in my early 20s, I got married, and it was a I don't know if this will completely make sense, but looking back on it, it was kind of just a brute force
Mhm.
aspect of relationships. I knew that people get married. I knew that that was what the societal norm was, and I kind of just, not that I didn't love my ex-wife, but
Mhm.
um, it was just another like I'm just gonna get to what society says that I should be.
That makes
Uh,
sense. Yeah, that makes
yeah,
sense. Right. Especially if
yeah,
that's like how you're making it through, how you're surviving, how you're staying on track, so to speak. It's like, this is what I'm going to do because this is what we do. So, along with all the
yeah,
other things that I'm doing because this is what we do. Yeah.
yeah. And so I think like, to go back to the verb of develop awareness,
Yeah.
um, I really believe that I was not very aware of at least of my emotions, and
Hmm.
the way that I was feeling until I got divorced when I was 27, uh,
Wow. Yeah.
which was only 8 years ago. Um, and so, yeah, I think to me that's an important thing that I would want the listeners to know that like I think developing awareness can start at any age.
Hmm.
Um, and it's not a uh, linear uh, progress by any means. It's
Hmm.
something that has its ups and downs and areas where I'm sure I'm sure there are plenty of things that I'm not currently aware of in my life that in 10 years from now I'm going to be like, I really wish I knew that back then.
Or maybe tomorrow at 3:15 in the afternoon.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So it doesn't matter if you're 10 years old, 30 years old, or 80 years old.
Yeah.
Developing awareness can begin or change at any point in life.
Right. And it's an internal process that's very much contextual in the world that we live in, the communities that we live in, and
Yeah.
and even the landscape that we live in. New Mexico and California are different places and they come with different needs. You had snow when you were a kid, I'm thinking, right?
Yeah.
So there
Yeah.
was
Yeah, definitely.
like that was part of your okay, it snowed last night. Now I have to add another however many minutes or hours
Hmm.
to my routine is a different thing than, I don't know how you get to work in the morning out here, but like, yeah, it's different. It's different.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, and I think, just to kind of at least get to where I am now,
Yeah.
in terms of going to grad school.
Well, sorry, can I back you up for a second and just say
Yeah, of course.
you're also switching careers. Can you talk a little bit about what career track you put yourself on originally, and then how you came to the moment where you're like, oh, I'm going to change career paths almost completely. Can you walk us through that journey too?
Yeah, of course. I think so. I was originally in school for architecture, and I really was just struggling with time management, struggling with a lot of things that, looking back on that time in my life, had to do with my disability and just my the extra stress that it added for me to carry big models into the
Uh,
building and
yeah,
stuff like that, right?
right.
Um, and so when I got married, I went through this again, looking back on it, it was all based out of uh just a desire to kind of fit the norm as much as
Mm-hmm,
possible.
mm-hmm,
Um, and got married, thought I was going down the path of having a family, so I wanted to do something that was going to be more stable.
mm-hmm,
Um, and I switched to business and
mm-hmm,
business management, and that's what I got my undergrad degree in 2015.
mm-hmm,
Um, and then got a job working as a project controller, which is just a niche area of project management where
mm-hmm,
we do everything from accounting to kind of project management, schedule management type stuff.
mm-hmm,
Um, and I was doing that and I'm still doing that. That's what I do at the consulting firm that we
mm-hmm,
work at together
mm-hmm,
today. Um, and it's been, in a lot of ways, it's been a wonderful career.
mm-hmm,
I've learned a lot of great skills that have served me well. I've learned how to network and build community,
mm-hmm.
um, and communicate different things to all kinds of different types of people and different types of brains. Um,
And
but
stay
the
on time. And stay on time, right? Isn't that
and
part of
stay
that?
yeah, and stay on time. Time
Yeah.
management's a big part of it. Um, but the whole time there was just something missing, and I wasn't fully happy with what was going on, and it caused a lot of extra stress. And um, I'm not proud to say that it bled into other areas of my life, and um, it impacted my relationship with my ex-wife. It impacted all kinds of different things. Um, and so when my divorce happened in 2017,
Mm-hmm.
um, that was really the catalyst for me. And then I moved out to California. So I moved out to California in the summer of 2018.
Mm-hmm.
And I, in some ways, I wasn't aware of it at the time, but I kind of started working on myself in a lot of different facets in terms of connecting with who I was.
Is that
Um,
when the meditation started?
Meditation, I started going to therapy, a lot more, and at least working on like my own stuff. I found uh, ACA, which is Adult Children of Alcoholics, which is a 12-step recovery program for
Mm-hmm.
uh, adults who are raised in dysfunctional family settings.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and ACA saved my life. I
Wow.
was, I was, it was the catalyst for me to really open up awareness of why I was feeling the way that I was feeling, and struggling with the different things that I was struggling. So yeah,
May I
that
may
was that
I
was the
may I
start.
pause on that one?
Yeah, of course,
So I've
of
spent some
course.
time in 12-step programs, and to me the magic of them, and also therapy. I've spent time in
Hmm.
therapy and in 12-step programs. And to me the magic of the 12-step program is the bearing witness. The
Hmm.
peace verbs, to be witnessed and to bear witness, because there's the no crosstalk rule in the meeting
Yeah.
setting. And so when someone has got the floor, whether that's the 3 minutes or it's the 15-minute long share, whichever amount of time that is, everyone's paying attention to that person and
Hmm.
not having a conversation with them about it. And there's something about the attention, the giving of the attention and the receiving of the attention that holds space for the alchemy of healing. and
Yeah.
self-connection. And so it's interesting to me that you said there was therapy, but you said that ACA saved your life.
Yeah.
That's so would you like to share more about like how that was healing? Like what about that for you?
Yeah. First, I want to say that by no means is this an advertisement for 12-step programs. I think everyone has their own journey,
Oh, sure,
and
sure.
and 12-step programs
Yeah.
are not for everyone,
Yeah.
and they work for a lot of people, but there's also a lot of people that they don't work for. So I just wanted to say that as well because I think uh, as much as I've loved 12-step programs, and as much as it's impacted me in a positive way, I
Mhm.
know there's a handful of people that it's done the opposite for. So,
And so it's
uh,
useful that that again points right back to find and follow your own path, right?
100%.
And develop awareness because none of us know if something would be the long term, yeah, this is the path I would like to continue walking on until we try it out.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
And so you're saying like some people might try that and say, this is not supportive of me. This is not offering the support that I need. And then other people would find support in it.
100%. And
Yeah,
it's such a individualized and unique life experience for all of us, right? Um,
absolutely.
and so, but for me, when I moved out to California in the summer of 2018, um, I fell into a pretty deep depression,
Hmm.
um, to the point where it was hard for me to get out of bed most days.
Hmm.
And I ended up having to take a sabbatical from work. Um, and part of my part of the program, and I'm very thankful to the company I was working with at the time, um, that they had their um, FMLA structured this way
Hmm.
because of the means of the sabbatical that I took. In order for me to come back to work,
Hmm.
I had to go to therapy, and
Oh, that
I
was the
had to
requirement.
yeah I forget how much it was. I think it was I had to go to like it wasn't very many. It was 3 to 6 sessions, and it was actually so the company I worked for had uh therapists that worked for the company.
Amazing.
Um, they had their own, basically they have their own medical facility, right, where they have psychiatrists, therapists, physical therapists, all those types of wellness individuals. And it was actually the therapist that had to basically sign off on me coming back to work.
Wow.
Um, yeah, and the therapist was the one that I will never forget the day. It was the second session. I sat down and she said to me, Dalton, you're an ACA. I
She
was
said,
like,
this is where you're going to be
this
that. Yeah,
this
this
is
is
where
what
you're
you're going to
going.
do. Yeah.
And she said, if you want me to sign this paper for you to come back, I need you to come back to work. I need you to go to an ACA meeting.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm not going to sign it until you come back and we have a session after you've gone to a meeting.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so I kind of not against my will, but I kind of angrily found a meeting and went to a meeting. Um, and the first couple of times that I went, I just, I was very quiet. I didn't say anything other than my name as it went around the circle.
Yeah.
But, but there was something was happening, right? Like I was listening to everyone do their 3-minute shares or their 15-minute shares. And with each one, there was just this little nugget of
Was it a
information.
was it a nugget of recognition? Like I'm not the only one that's had this experience, and maybe
Yes,
even hearing it described through someone else was like, oh, that was something I was experiencing. So there's some awareness is coming from that.
100%. I
Yeah.
that was kind of for me where 12-step programs and kind of what you were talking about a minute ago, really where the power of 12-step programs came in, where
There's
like I
empathy.
empathy and there was just this awareness of like, holy crap, I'm
Yeah.
not the only one on this planet going through these things.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
And then I started sharing and talking about my story in those meetings, and um, all the while having just moved out to California, kind of having this internal conversation with myself around like, why am I not happy uh, in my work, right? Like I
Mm.
um, had a great job overall, plenty of financial benefit, and as I just mentioned, they had a wonderful medical facility that really was structured well. Um, but yet I just wasn't happy. And through going to ACA and therapy and just this continued work, it was probably, a 4 to 5 year journey from, you know, late 2018 through 2022-ish timeframe,
Mhm.
where I kind of slowly said to myself, oh, it's because I don't feel, I don't connect with the purpose of the work that I'm doing. I don't
Mm.
connect with the mission. I don't connect with uh yeah, the values of business in a
Mm.
lot of ways.
Mhm.
Um and you know, through all of what I just described around therapy and my entire life journey of living life with a disability in a family of addiction, I started exploring, and I was like, I need to be a counselor. I want to
Yeah.
be I want
Yeah.
to be somebody that helps others go through the journey that I've gone through in my life, as well as I just have always loved the mind. I've always loved the way the brain works and the nervous system, and so it was kind of just this perfect mesh of personal values with how I felt like I wanted to move forward in my life. And I mean, it's still right. It's a continued journey. I still have 2 years of my program left, and um, in a lot of ways, I have no idea where this journey is taking me. I have bits and pieces of ideas, but um, I'm kind of just trusting in the universe, trusting in myself to figure it out as I go.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's some piece words there. Let's see here. I can't believe I don't have this on the list. I should add it. Be brave. You're being brave. You are also you are also trusting. There's more verbs to add.
Yeah,
It's like I started out with about 70 verbs, but there's more. There's more. Um, you are allowing yourself to take up space in your own life. And that that in the workplace is a thing. You have to be brave to be able to do that.
yeah,
It comes back to that pushing the boundaries and the expectations. So in an environment such as where we are, it is unusual to be part-time.
hmm,
So you're being
absolutely.
brave to say, okay, I have to pivot in my life, and that is going to require me to be part-time because there's no other way to fit in the hours for studying, going to
Yeah,
school. And then you're going inward and perhaps also going upward to anchor into that trust that okay, now I'm going to have less money because I'm earning less and I'm also paying for school. So there's this like trusting your inner direction
yeah,
rather than having your direction just externally handed to you, which sounds like very much part of your journey through your 20s is that point of getting the divorce and moving to California where you realized that you had been aiming towards fitting into the paradigm around you rather than the paradigm within or the blueprint
yeah,
within. And
yeah. And I don't know, I'm feeling compelled to say this right now. There's something within me that is pushing me to say that, like, I think a big part of, all of these piece verbs that are on here, and the personal life journey has so many different people supporting you along the way,
Oh, wow. Yeah.
and like in ways that at the time they're not even trying to support you. They're
Huh.
just by being there and being who they are,
Yeah.
it it that experience with that individual could impact the direction you go.
Yeah.
And I have so much gratitude for, I mean, the list goes on and on of all of the people in my life that have helped me get to this point. And the number one, and I'd be remiss without saying this, my current partner, Camille, has been, um, you mentioned the challenge of dropping down to part-time and
Yeah.
having to figure out the money situation and paying for grad school. Um, None of this would be possible. I would not be able to be as brave as I've been doing this
Mhm.
without Camille. Um,
Well, shout out to
and
Camille, wherever you are,
yeah, yeah,
in the other room or down the hall, or like,
yeah,
good job and thank
absolutely.
you. Yeah.
And I mean, again, the list goes on and on. Another big one, and I don't know if she'll ever see this, but
Yeah.
if she does, she'll be surprised to hear me say,
Yeah.
I have a lot of gratitude for my ex-wife and the
Oh, I'm
time
sure.
we spent together, and the experiences we had, and the way our relationship ultimately dissolved was a big catalyst. It was a diving board for me to jump off of
Yeah.
into this world of self-development and growth. So
Sometimes,
thank you to her.
yeah, thank you to her. So there's like a, I don't know why this is the analogy that always comes back to my creative brain, but it is that some people in our lives are the cliff that we have to climb. Like they're the rock wall.
Mhm.
And the other people are the ones that give you the arm up as you're getting to the ledge at the top of the wall, and then they hand you a peanut butter sandwich and some water. It's like there's the people that we struggle with, right? That are the struggle, and probably we're the struggle for them. And then there's the people that bring the relief and the support and the soothing, and that we need both of them, because if we don't have the hard parts in our life, we don't have the reason to grow, or the mechanism that we grow by, if we don't struggle,
That's that's I couldn't have said it better myself, Christine. I think
including the peanut butter sandwich.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, 100%. I think it reminds me there's a story in ACA literature
uh,
about uh, as you're developing this awareness around how family dysfunction impacted you,
yeah.
being able to like visualize how family dysfunction gets passed from generation to generation.
Mm,
And they describe it as generations passing down this bundle of dysfunction.
mm,
And the beauty of the work we do in ACA and around just developing awareness is once you become aware of the dysfunction, you then begin to develop the power to choose to change it or to not carry that bundle with you.
yeah, yeah. And I think that, we were talking about, we started this conversation talking about how there's like invisible boundaries to society and what we consider normal, or even what we consider reality. And so I've also, in the experience of healing my own family bundle, noticed that it's a gift that we give backwards in time, so that there may not, like you said, in the 90s when you were born, there wasn't even the level of awareness around disability in the society. And so how could your parents have done any differently or any better? It comes to also the dysfunction that we carry in our very personal family stories. 2 generations ago, there may not have been any awareness that that was actually there. And so by you seeing it, actually picking apart the different elements, like I'm seeing this, like this bundle, you're actually unwrapping it and laying it out on the countertop and looking at all the pieces there.
Yes,
Even just in doing that, even if you don't even get to the point that you're healing it, if you just see it, you're healing backwards in time and forwards in time in your family line.
100%.
And I don't even know how that works, but spiritually it does.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree, right? I think the ways it works, I don't think anyone knows.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
alchemy. It's
yeah,
beyond our
absolutely.
way of
But
understanding. Yeah.
but I totally agree that like, and I love uh your analogy of kind of like opening the bundle
Yeah.
and kind of looking at everything that's in there, and by doing so, it helps everyone, right? It helps past generations as well as future. And I think um I've seen a lot of that in my own family. Obviously there's there's so much that goes into generational dysfunction, generational uh just dynamics. But, you know, I know that by going down the journey that I'm going down, it helps bring awareness to my parents and to my siblings, and they have all been such, again, going back to the thank yous, I have so much gratitude and I love my family so much. They have supported me the best they could, and it means the world to me. They're my best friends. Um, so yeah, it's just the constant, it just like continues to expand as you go, right?
And I think there's also inherently another piece for there that as we develop awareness, we unpack that family bundle. It also provides the opportunity to forgive.
Forgive, and then I think that opens up a world of humor, a
Oh
world
yeah, yeah. You wanted
of
to bring me
joy.
there.
Yeah, yeah, I did
Yeah,
want to talk about that.
yeah. So before we hit the record button, you said that was a key. There's a couple verbs there you wanted to bring in. So please tell me more. Tell me more about humor. Humor, joy are nouns, but you had a few other verbs that went along with that.
Yeah, the reason I wanted to make sure we touched on things of play and joy and humor is because, everything we've talked about so far in this podcast around disability and addiction and life journey can be heavy. And
Yeah.
and I think I mentioned earlier when we were talking about work, um, it's hard work, right? It's sometimes when you live in certain environments, you don't have space to have fun. You just got to keep going and keep working at it, right? Wake up every
Es-
single day and work at it.
Especially when the job is physical, right?
What 100%.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that's that's all I've ever known. I mean, I played sports growing up, and I really love playing sports, and don't get me wrong, there's a lot of joyous memories in in my childhood. But I think, especially as I grew into my 20s, a lot of play, a lot of childlike wonder
Mm,
left my life.
mm,
And I think that's the case for a lot of adults, right?
sure.
As we start having our own kids and build wealth and own property and all of that stuff, all of that is just more and more, you've got to be serious. You got to be on time. You've got to like move from one thing to the next. And
Yeah.
it's easy to forget how much taking time to play, taking
Hmm.
time to slow down and laugh uh,
Hmm.
is in a lot of ways more important than being able to work hard. Being able to, again, going back to meditation and slowing down and finding the right balance between working on your awareness, working on your life, and being able to be in the moment and just uh, love what you have and enjoy what you have is very key.
So that's feeling and expressing gratitude and being present. And you talked about humor. So there's so many types of humor. Do you have a favorite flavor? Is there like can you describe what's the difference between a moment that doesn't have the humor brought into it and a moment that it did? Like what's the joke that's told or what's the perspective that shifts?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely enjoy dark humor.
Okay.
I can have dark humor, but I think to me it's all about just whatever brings you pleasure, right? I think my partner and I went back home to spend some time with my family earlier this month, and it was m one of my nephew's birthdays, and he got some squirt guns for his birthday, turning, I believe, 8 or 9.
Oh, that's a fun
And
age.
yeah, and uh, my partner, two of my nephews, and my brother and I spent probably an hour and a half in the front yard having a water gun fight.
Yeah.
And we pulled out the hose, and we were all soaked by the end of it. But it was just such a joyous moment
Yeah, yeah.
of we were all laughing and having a good time. And so yeah, I think to me it's not so much the type of humor, it's whatever brings you that moment of joy, of that moment of pleasure.
Although, although there's
Yeah.
there's there's two. I did actually ask you specifically because I think it's useful to see the creativity and the human spirit of. You said
Mhm.
I enjoy dark humor. So dark humor is like it takes fear and shows it the door.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like let's go to the worst thing that could happen and find the humor in that, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, okay, it's all okay,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I love comedy, right?
Mm-hmm.
I love I wish that I had the courage to stand up on stage and do like a stand-up comedy set, because I think comics do such an incredible job of taking uh the challenging aspects of life and the world, and bringing them to light and saying the things that m most people only say in their head, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. We have it gets into poking at the boundaries, right? So we have boundaries of civility, and
yeah,
comedy is where we can vicariously allow that boundary to be exploded, right? Like someone on stage saying all the inappropriate things, we can all laugh with that.
100%.
Yeah.
And I think, another reason why I wanted to make sure we touch on these things is because it's something that I'm still very much exploring myself,
Hmm.
of like of how to play, what things bring me joy.
Hmm.
Um, and so it's something that I it's kind of I see very much as one of the next phases of my like development as a person, is how do I what things bring me joy, and how do I incorporate those things into my life. Play therapy is a huge aspect of my hopefully my future practice. You know,
Hmm.
um,
Hmm.
play therapy is this concept of just allowing space to have uh, have fun, right? Whether it be bringing in colored pencils and working with people to draw a picture, or uh, blocks, or just allowing that inner child to come out for a little while. And by doing so, it can really open up a lot of different areas of life. And um, I think that's important. I think that's the reason that I want to really incorporate play into not only my life but my future practice, is for people with disabilities, for people with that are struggling with addictions.
Hmm.
A lot of the time, they come from worlds where play is not something that they get to do often.
There's
And
not a
so,
space carved out of it. So making space for play, those are two piece verbs in there. You're making space,
yeah,
even holding space, and bringing in the play.
100%. And I think making space, and then I just looked at the list here, I have it on my other screen,
Hmm.
uh, taking up that space,
Taking
right?
up space.
Yeah, we all deserve to take up space. Uh,
We do. And I think for me, my healing journey, I had a similar journey of dissolution of well, getting as far as I could until I couldn't go any further, and then dissolving and then saying I deserve to take up space and then building out into that space. I think that
Yeah.
that's how my journey of healing, there was that moment in time that everything seemed to fall apart. And I said, I need to take up space. I deserve to take up space. And then I started taking up space in my own life.
Yeah.
And it included play. Yeah.
I think, yeah, I feel in 12-step recovery speak, rock bottoms, right? They use the term
Yeah.
rock bottom. I
Yeah.
think I actually um have come to love rock bottoms. And
Hmm.
I know that that is probably a counterintuitive statement. Um, but I think that like you said, generally when you hit a rock bottom, um, it is an opportunity to figure out how or what it is you need to take up the space that is necessary for you to come back from that rock bottom. So
Yeah, because everything is dissolved. There's a few things in that. The wording rock bottom is to remind us that we are always held up by earth. Like we have
mm,
this inherent, we're alive and thereby we are supported by earth. There is a
yeah.
rock bottom. There's that. I lost it. It's gonna come back.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. So the other thing is that you were talking about when you were younger, you didn't even have an awareness of your feelings, and I feel like addiction is somehow wrapped up in all of that, and that we are all, whether or not we call it addiction or see that there's a substance involved, we are all in that behavior pattern at one time or another, or even for long stretches of time in our life, and it could be addiction to the internet, it could be addiction to work, it could be addiction to a thought process. So there's this hitting rock bottom is about all of a sudden being confronted with the feelings, like the addiction numbing that we've
hmm
been allowing ourselves to be involved in is no longer available at rock bottom, and there's all of these like really raw feelings that all of a sudden are there and we're aware of, and somehow knowing that they're not going to kill us.
Yeah.
And then
100%.
finding the way to work out of that and allowing the movement. So we've been talking about movement as our way of keeping going in society. We are a very movement oriented society. Allowing emotions to move is also a really important part of being alive. And
Yeah.
when we hold them back and don't look at them and hide them, they're not moving. But when we start to allow them to move, so you were in this place of depression, you moved through that. So I'm
Yeah.
imagining that there were emotions that came up and were unearthed that then you got to know. And as you got to know them, I'm imagining they moved. Is that somewhat accurate to the experience?
Yeah. No, that is completely accurate. I think um there are an endless list of coping strategies in this world, that we all employ at one point or another. And addictions are just part of that, right?
They are, right.
And I think, um, like you said, when the rock bottom comes, whatever the rock bottom looks like, and I know I feel like a lot of people feel like you can only have one rock bottom in life,
Oh no.
and that is not true. I I won't go into the details, but there's been at least three or four in my life already, and I'm hopefully less than halfway through my life. So,
Although,
uh,
like they can be rock bottom with a capital R and B, or they can be just lowercase rock bottom. They can be rock bottom in the course of a day.
yeah,
It's that stop everything. I can't keep going in this direction. That moment.
yeah, yeah. And then, as you said, right, like those rock bottoms are beautiful because again, it's that recognition, that awareness that like, oh wait, everything just fell apart and I'm still here,
And I'm
right?
still here.
Because
Yeah.
I think for a lot of, at least for me, right, when you're trying and you're fighting to keep yourself from hitting that rock bottom,
Yeah.
a lot of it is based in this fear that like when you hit the rock bottom, everything is the world's gonna end. right? Your life
Yeah.
is going to be over.
Yeah.
And it's that recognition, that awareness that no, that's not the case, that there's always going to be an opportunity to reinvent yourself, um, kind of build back up from the bottom. And again, going back to that opening the bundle and getting to pick and choose and look at everything that's in the bundle. It's an opportunity to say, okay, what parts of my life before I hit the rock bottom do I want to bring with me,
Mhm.
and which ones do I want to try to leave behind,
Mhm.
um, and and pick up new things along the way, right? So it's kind of this moment in life that you get to, I mean, start over, right? And and there's a lot of beauty in that. And I think, uh, you know, bringing in, I'm losing my train of thought here a little bit, but like bringing in the ability to play in those moments and to find the joy in that space is really key.
It's also, I think there's a process of death and rebirth. To die and be reborn while still being alive is a part of what we're talking about here, because there is a letting go, and we tend to think of ourselves, define ourselves by the attributes that we might collect around ourselves. You know, like,
Mhm.
are we a husband or a wife? Are we a certain profession? Are we, do we live in this state or that state? We have these attributes, and then when they go away, either by choice or just by circumstance, there's an emptiness that they leave. And I feel like there's some sunshine and some air that comes into that space, and it can be scary to let go. But we can practice this dying and being reborn again and again, and then eventually we actually die, and who knows where we
Yeah.
go then. But there's it's the letting go of the fear of that process, and somehow realizing that we aren't all those things that we say that we are. We're actually the part of us that experiences.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that is a beautiful sentiment. I think one of the reasons I want to be a therapist, or be a counselor, is I very much see it as being somebody that helps others recognize their humanness,
Mm-hmm.
recognize that we are not all of the things that society says that we should be. Those are all part of being human. And at the base, whether you have a bunch of money in the bank and a huge house with a family, or no money in the bank and um, you know, very few friends, you are still a human being at your core. And the journey of life is very similar for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, there's a wide range of differences and um, socioeconomical status and identities and all of these types of things that come into play that impact our own individualized experience, but we are still human at the core. And for me, being able to recognize that helps me um, have some compassion with myself and say, you know, I do the things that I do, right? There are plenty of things that I'm still trying to work on in terms of being better at, eating better or exercising on a more regular basis. Um, but being able to recognize that I am the way that I am because of I am a human being
Mm.
is super key for me. It allows me to say, yeah, I may not work out as much as I would like to, but there are reasons for that, right?
Right.
My entire life has brought me to this space, and um, having that awareness is key for me. Yeah.
Yeah. And it comes back to the verb of storytelling, that you're allowing yourself to tell the story of your own life to yourself, and you're witnessing other people's stories. You're moving into a profession where that's going to be big part of what you do is witnessing other people's stories and helping them tell their own story and then also retell it. So there's that internal self ableism, I think is what you called it,
Hmm.
where there's a self
Yeah.
judgment. And I was thinking that even though that's your particular brand and personal mark of that journey, that there's that experience of feeling unworthy and
Mm.
self-judging, I think is in most of us. I think most of us have that thread in our life, whatever it was that brought us to that. And
Yeah.
so there's these universal themes. You say we are all human. We all have a different, unique and sacred storyline, and yet there's these universal elements that we can identify in each other.
Yeah. We've been in school, we've been studying a lot about identity and all of the different facets of identity, from socioeconomical status to gender to sexual orientation to race, right? Ability level, all of these types of things. And obviously, each one of us has a very unique journey in each facet of our identity.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that we all have that unique identity, or that unique journey uh, within our identity, makes us similar, right? We're all just trying to figure out what it means for us to be, for me, to be male, to be white, to be disabled, to be, um, all of the other adjectives that I could use to describe myself.
Well, you and also you said brother, son, uncle, right? Partner.
Brother,
There's also
son,
those too.
absolutely, right? The
Yeah.
the wheel of identity just is ever expansive. And and there are times where in life where a prong of our identity grows, right? And there's this new
Mm,
aspect of ourselves that we're like, I didn't know that was there, or maybe it wasn't there until now. And then
yeah.
there are other prongs that dissolve, right?
Yeah.
I was a husband once, and now I'm
Yeah.
no longer a husband.
Yeah.
And figuring out what that looks like, and what that
Yeah.
means for me. It's just um, yeah, it's a beautiful journey that we're all on, and in a lot of ways, I feel like as much as our world tells us that we should have it all figured out, I feel like most of us don't. We're all just kind of
We all
uh,
try.
yeah,
That's in
yeah,
the verb.
we're all just trying.
Yeah.
We're all just trying to figure out life together.
Yeah. Yeah, we
Yeah,
are developing
yeah,
awareness.
that's the thing.
Yeah. Wow.
Mm.
Well, it's been so fun to have this conversation. And is there more that we're forgetting that we wanted to talk about?
I think I really enjoyed the conversation. I think we've covered a lot of ground, so I think I'm good. I think
Yeah.
I want to express some gratitude to you to allowing me to come onto your podcast
Oh, you're so
and
welcome.
and talk about these things. It's something that, as I said, uh, is ever growing for me, and I'm always looking for ways to express myself, and this is a wonderful start to that. So thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. When was the first time we talked about having you on the podcast? Maybe a year ago, yeah. It's been
Yeah,
in the back of both of our minds for a long time. So
yeah, for a
it's
long
really
time
fun.
with our individual life journeys, things have
Yeah,
just
yeah.
it's always been getting pushed. So it's been it's been wonderful to finally make it happen after about a year worth of planning.
Yes, that's right. That's right. And I think you were saying that you may want to do podcasting in your future as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. There's a lot of things that I feel like I would like to do a podcast on. I have been kind of playing with this idea for several years now around um, I feel like there's a lot of social media out there, male focused uh, social media out there that is really misogynistic and
Mm,
really focused on a lot of I'll use the term outdated ideals of what it means to be a man.
mm.
And so I really think that I would love to do a podcast that tries to push against those boundaries a little bit and open up space for men to feel the way that they feel. I think suicide is an epidemic, and proportionately, it is much higher in men than women.
Hmm.
And a big reason for that is those kind of old school male ideas of you can't express how you feel.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the many ideas that I have for a podcast.
I think that's so, so awesome. And it just feels like carving out that space. We're talking about creating space, holding a space for healing and transformation and for helping people find their true inner voice. It seems like women in the last 30 to 50 years have grown leaps and bounds into being more authentic and more, well, I mean, my mom, like when I was born, I think that was the year that women were able to open their own bank account for the first time without a letter of permission from their husband or father. So,
Wow.
think about like that. You and I are colleagues in the workplace, and I feel like we're equals. I never think, oh, I never second guess myself as a female in that space. But men need and deserve that same journey of self-allowing to be authentically grounded in their true essence without
Yeah.
that and the modeling for what they should be has been dismantled in this time period.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I feel like we could probably do a whole nother episode on this topic. I think, um, again, and it plays off of each other, right? Like the female experience and the male experience. If we can, uh, if we can expand the male experience in these
Yeah.
ways, it will then in turn help the female experience because, you know, women have been so unequally treated for so many years and so many hundreds of generations that a lot of the kind of male ideas or ideals are a part of that and a reason for that, right? It's this mindset of, women are less than, if you will.
It's a
And
power over power under paradigm.
yeah, and it shouldn't be that way, right? And by creating these spaces of allowing men to feel certain things in ways that society tells them that they're not supposed to, it can open their mind to allow the women in their life to thrive as well.
So it seems to me that what you're doing is a reboot of the man show.
Yeah,
The
yeah, yeah,
2025 to 2020 or 2030 version of that. I don't know. That was a show that was around the time that you were born.
yeah.
The Man Show. Um,
The Man Show. I
Jimmy
haven't heard of
Kimmel
it. I'll have to look it up.
And Adam Carolla um,
Okay.
did the Man Show, and it was funny. It
Yeah,
was humorous, and at any rate,
yeah.
I
I'll have
think
to
it's
look it
a
up.
yeah,
I'll check
yeah,
it out.
yeah. I don't think that. Well, yeah, you do that, and we can talk some other
Okay.
time, online or offline.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I say more power to you. That's a really wonderful thing. I hope that you get to it, but of course not now because you have lots of other things on your plate.
Yeah. I have a long list of ideas that I'm just kind of keeping in the file structures of my computers so that once I finish my degree, I can try to open it up and see which one still speaks to me.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Great, Dalton. So let's wrap up this conversation. You stay on, don't hang up because we can say goodbye after I stop the recording. But thank you so much to all of our guests that joined along. It's been a great, fun conversation to have with my colleague Dalton, and we hope that you enjoy it as well.
Yeah, thank you for listening. And again, so much gratitude for everyone listening and for you for allowing me to be here.
Thank you too.